introduce myself. I'm Neil Coshever. I'm on the poster. The Hawaiian Tropical Fruit Growers Association has asked me to come and teach a course in a part of horticulture that I really find fascinating. I'll give you a quote from my father. A long time ago, we were discussing the state of the world and drugs and people getting high and these kinds of things. He said, "You know what gets me high?" I said, "Wow, my dad's going to tell me what gets him high." I said, "Yeah, tell me, what gets you high, Dad?" And he says, "Well, when I see a little seed sprout and it turns into this mighty tree with lots of fruit or flowers on it," he said, "I am so inspired that I can't stop doing what I do." Yeah, and he really did. He's got quite a legacy in his lifetime of creating different things. He had his schooling in Canada at the Niagara Falls School of Agriculture. He was the president of his class and got thrown out because he had a mouth and he spoke against the faculty and the curriculum. But he created a clock in Niagara Falls. I don't know if it's still there, but it was a living plant clock that actually kept the time. Yeah, so it's pretty amazing stuff. And he worked in the city of Los Angeles. He was the kind of person that took it so seriously that if I brought him a piece of bark or a wing of an insect, he could tell me the genus name. He could tell me all about it and how it fit into nature and so on. When he landscaped for people, he was a landscaper for celebrities in Los Angeles. Once we got to LA, he could tell how big plants would get, and he did a beautiful job of the landscaping. Well, what the city didn't know was he requisitioned from the service yard. They had their own greenhouses, hothouses. He wanted flowers, and he wanted specific flowers, and they gave him flats of those flowers. He took 2 city blocks long in Griffith Park, and he created this most amazing banner of different colors of green, and then he did it all in flowers. The American flag, 1776 to 1976, and it said bicentennial, and they all bloomed at the right time. It was an amazing thing to see. Very proud of that, and I have pictures of that. It was amazing to see. So let's get on with it. We've got a workshop here for grafting. I totally welcome questions, and we're going to really work on one kind of graft. However, I will show you a couple of different kinds. You'll see behind you trees, and we're going to be utilizing those trees. Let me tell you, you have your grafting workshop book. The second page will tell you the curriculum we're going to go over. You have a knife here, and you have jars on the table. Those jars are rubbing alcohol. One of the most important things when we process or go through this process of grafting is sterilization. You do not want to contaminate the sign wood. If you do, then the sign wood becomes probably corrupted within about a week. It turns brown and then black, and it will not grow. Or we have different words I'm going to use. One of them is called push, which happens to occur when the bud breaks through a special tape we're going to show you today. I'd like to go over the history of grafting with you as we get into this, but these are your knives, and we're going to sterilize them at a certain point. On them are 2 different kinds of tape. Let's not take them apart yet because we have wind, and we'll get to these and then we'll use them. In the history of grafting, it's very interesting stuff. They figure that 12,000 years ago, that man, this is all speculation, but it makes a lot of sense, was in the field. Nobody was having cultivars that long ago. What was happening was that the grains that they found that they could utilize for making bread and so on, some of the heads of the grains were very small and brittle, and they did not produce well as far as propagation. When they found the larger heads of grain, they found that they weren't brittle and they produced very well. And that started the ball rolling for people's minds to start hybridizing in a natural way. It gets to be very interesting at this point, where another speculation was that in order to build huts, they used to cross branches of 2 different trees. Sometimes they were fruit trees or sometimes they were flower trees, but the branches would rub and eventually become one. Sometimes this tree would die, and then they would notice that the branch that was from this tree is still alive, and it was connected to this. So something started to gel in minds. In different scriptures, this is all basically an Indo-European start. This is where it all started to happen. There are scriptures in India that refer to crossing species, or a reference saying that they're not allowed to. In 300 AD, there's an actual reference to grafting. It becomes very interesting when you realize that grafting has been going on that long, and I'm going to skip a lot of the smaller histories and get into parts of grafting that become extremely interesting, because my father taught me grafting when I was a kid. When I was a kid and he showed me grafting, it was nothing like it is today. It's super modern, super tech. In the old days, we used to use raffia. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but basically it's a type of grass, and it dries, and they make it into balls, and they use it for agriculture in a lot of different ways, tying up cane to secure a tree or a flower or whatever, to keep it from bending or moving. So the raffia, when you graft, you're going to have different ways of attaching the branches. When you graft, you have to secure that branch that's being attached in a really tight manner. I'll go over this again. It has to be very, very tight. The cambium tissues have to match. That's another point we're going to go over. And when they do, then they can join. If they don't, we have to figure out a way to make them match. And there's ways of doing that we'll go over today. So the raffia was to bind. Now what do you do when you don't have anything else for the binding? In those days, what was the natural thing? Wax. Beeswax. So my father would melt beeswax and take a brush and brush these raffias very quickly. And for a long time, it's the only way I knew how to graft. And where we lived was high enough humidity and the time of the year that my father did it, that the plants took. It's very important. We're going to have a lot of different demographics here. If you live up country, or you live in Haiku, you live in Kihei, you're going to have more difficulty grafting. They really need a lot of moisture. When you don't have enough moisture, they will die very quickly. Even if you wrap them in what's called paraffin wax or paraffin. This is what the box looks like. You can get it on Amazon. This is overkill. This is several lifetimes worth. I've wrapped all the tapes around here, and I still have lots, and there's so much more in the box over here which I'm going to use it. This is an example of an avocado that I took from a different variety. Do you remember, if you look at these leaves, is this Puamana or the shell cross or the signwood from Songhai? And so I wrapped this, and we'll go over how this is done, but I wanted you to see this because when this parafilm, this is the new technology. When this parafilm is used to wrap, watch this, you can stretch it, stretch it, stretch it, and it's sticky to itself. So if I want to wrap this tree, I can keep wrapping, and what happens by wrapping, and you go all the way up, it keeps the moisture in. You'll see droplets of moisture inside. Well, when you live in Kihei and you don't do that, they'll dry up very, very quickly. And if you live in Haiku, they have to be protected. One of the things you're going to find on your table here are sleeves. You take these sleeves, and once you have your signwood in, and it's all wrapped, you put the sleeves over for a couple of weeks. And we take them off every now and again to make sure that they are pushing. We want them to push out. And what is pushing? What is that? What does that mean? You have to know, before we get into the grafting, how to pick signwood, where to get signwood, and why you'd want to take signwood of that nature. This is good signwood over here. I'm going to grab it right now. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. Everybody, we're going to distribute these, but I want everybody to have the experience of utilizing the signwood in such a way to prepare it for yourselves. I want you to be able to go away from here and graft on a consistent basis. You'll get better and better at it. You'll learn more and more. One of the things is, here's your leaf. This is called petiole right here, and this is a bud, and it's pushing. It's doing its thing already. Okay, and so what we're going to do is we're going to give you this. You're going to use your knife. I can use a knife. Show you how to do that with a knife. But we're going to sterilize the knives. But you cut these off close. And the reason why is, I'm going to show you something. This is too long. And the reason why is that when I am about to wrap this is going to be extremely difficult to wrap if I haven't cut these off. So what the number is going to look like, basically like that. You can leave these leaves if you want to, but more than likely the push is going to come from one of these buds over here. Okay? So let me go over this real carefully. You see the size of this, okay? What you want to do, one of the most important things, I have to have glasses on for this. One of the most important things is my glasses right now. Okay. You want to make sure that you match up the size. And you have to compensate for the size. I'm going to take these off. We're not even going to use this part of the stem, I don't believe. Okay. You want to make sure that they match up perfectly. And then you have to realize we're going to make a wedge cut. We're going to cut a slit down the side of this. And when you do that, you're going to slide this in, which means that this should be the same size when it slides in. Most people calculate that, and then they lose on the grafting. So I'll cut it right about there. Bye, tree. Not too much to do for that. Okay. These are really good cutters. So, and you look and see, this one's a little bit bigger. Why? Because it's bigger down here. Okay. So this is how this is done. I'm going to cut this again. Oh, could you please hand me the alcohol? This is a clean blade anyway, but everybody's going to clean their blades before we do this. Get to the center of this, okay? And I'm going to rock very gently. You see how my fingers are holding my thumb in place? I don't want this to slip. And I go right down the middle. And a little teeny bit off, but that's okay. I'm going to cut this one. And I'm going to take this. Now, this is the secrets. Here's the secrets. Most people are going to want to take this and slice this direction. Not a good idea. If you do it, I will slice towards me. Okay, and I keep my thumb, by the way, I'm going to cut this again. Remember we talked about that. I want to keep my thumb and fingers away from this. However, I don't want to touch this again. You can take this, put this side in your mouth if you're doing this part, I already done it. But you don't want to touch this or this if you don't have to. And right here at the node, I will start to cut. Okay, and then I come off to the other side. I'm going to make it look easy. You'll have fun with this today. You want to keep the contamination off of it. There's a lot of natural bacteria that are growing all the time and in our environment. Okay. So that's not quite what I want. Hold on. As I said, I'm going to make it look easy, so if I make it look difficult, that's why. It's a little bit difficult. All right. We want it to be thinner here. You can okay, so it looks like a wedge. It's a perfect wedge. Now you take this with my thumb way down to the bottom and open it up. And we push this on here like this, and it's tight. Yeah, it comes out and it's going to be perfect on the sides. You can feel it. It's actually feels exactly the same. I'm going to get one of these already.
So do you want to leave just a little bit of the exposed
Yes.
part?
You want this, you want to match your canyon rays on both sides. You can leave a little bit, you can leave a little more if you wanted to. Now this stuff, you can heat it, so to speak, by doing this. You want it stretched. There's a good reason why. You start at the bottom of your cut there, or even a little bit lower, and you bring this around, and I'm holding the tape. And you see how tight I just pulled it? All right. You don't want to slip and knock that out.
Is there any of this you can put it too hard?
No. You can pull it too hard and break it,
Yeah, okay, so
but you want this contact to be extremely tight. I've slipped and so on. My pup is here, and I play ball with the pup and kick the ball and bash these and break them off, and then I walk over and do it again. There's no real hard, fast rules with this on certain levels, and then I came up a little bit high, and I'm going back down again. Okay? Now, I take the tape, come around, and I put it under, pull it up just to make a simple knot. And this is really cool tape. I'm going to show you what that tape looks like. Okay, so that's tight now. We cut the excess tape off, and I'll show you why that too. Where is the tape? No, there's a bag. No, there's a bag. I want to do that. Oh yeah, there you go. Thanks. You can buy this down at Home Depot and so on. This is double wide. I don't usually buy that, but I figured out a way to split the tape in half, but I prefer about a third of the width to do what I just did. But it worked, so we're good there. And then we're going to take this paraffin tape. This is the modern stuff. I saw this years ago by this guy who was grafting at my property, and I'm like, what is that? And he told me, and I said, wow, I've never seen anything like that. And it works beautifully. So we'll show you what we do. You've seen these little white covers. We're going to utilize that, but I'm going to show you 2 or 3 other kinds of covers that you can use. And I look at this and I go, okay, that's about enough right there. So, and by the way, on your knives, you have enough to take home and do a couple of trees yourselves. Yeah. So we're here, pull it a little more. You can see how nicely this is working. Don't be afraid. I'm holding this now instead of the joint. You want to hold the joint because it'll come apart if you push too hard. And if you want to, you can go a little more on one area and to make sure that you seal it. You want no ability for the moisture to evaporate.
all the way to the top, you're sealing the whole thing?
You seal the whole thing, pinch the top, pull it off, and you're done.
Where do you get that wax tape?
Amazon. Yeah, if everybody here partnered up on one box.
Is that the same thing?
Careful. Yeah, it's a laboratory tape. What they would usually do with this is they would take petri dishes and then take the petri dish and then seal it so that no contaminants will get in. Yeah, they completely enclose it. So there you go. You see that? Then we take the little envelope. Anybody got an envelope up there? I've got a couple of things to show you on the envelope. My friend, the Ayurvedic doctor, made these. She's so good at this. Okay, so CO2, I just blew CO2 and it's good for it. But anyway, here's the deal. This goes on like that. You put this in the shade. A little bit of light is fine. You water down here. This is to protect it from too much light and too much water. Okay? So that's it. That's the done deal. And I'm going to show you some other techniques that I'll use on a consistent basis. I've been all over the world, and one of my things that I like to do is go visit farms or people that do grafting and learn a lot about what they do and how they do it. So one of the things that you can do is get this like this, and if you have problems with kihei and lack of moisture, put a few drops of water in here. And you put it over the top, and you gather it at the bottom, and if you want to, you can blow into it. Okay, and you gather it so it's like this, and then you have some more parafilm somewhere here. You see in the poster, you see I have my mouth on my tape It's always hanging out of my mouth when I'm doing this because I use the tape for different reasons. Just don't have to be super exact, but that's done. And now you're going to be protected. This is going to be good. I would blow it up a little more, but it's good like that. You don't want a lot of light in the beginning. Any plants that you modify, take out the ground, you plant whatever, they're going to go into shock. So, or if they haven't been in a lot of light, the terms are hardening off. You have to bring it out into the light slowly, and then it becomes very resilient. But if you bring this into light, it's all in shock now. The whole plant is a little bit upset. If you have other branches, you can take them off. You can take this down to here if you wanted to do that. It's better down lower, but for height and for everybody to see, it's for this demonstration. The other way that I have used to not very good success is making tin foil, where you do the same kind of thing that my friend the doctor did, and this will be what you see, and you fold this over, and then this will now go over, and it will reflect light once again, and it'll keep it cooler inside. But if you have shade of some sort anywhere, you can get some light at some points of the day. But tinfoil has been very successful. Unfortunately, there's not a hard, fast rule because you live in different environments, and it makes it more difficult to produce the effect that you're looking for, because it is it's really depending on where you live. So that's why I said when and where, sun and wind. If you're in a really windy area, you can get wind in Kihei pretty bad, the offshore winds. One of the things you want to be able to do is have a windbreak. So you're going to want to plant those trees. I told you the two kinds of trees. Lyricidea and Inga, or ice cream bean. They both grow at about 20 feet a year. They're both nitrogen fixers. They're legumes, and they are fantastic for nitrogen. The other thing is, I don't know if you're familiar with the word, I didn't put it in the booklet, called coppicing. When your plants grow high, you grind them. You bring them down, you cut them. Both of those plants will grow back profusely.